Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror. I am your host, Kevin O. Powers. I'm also the festival director and program director for Something Wicked Film Festival and Events. And welcome to our podcast today. So today we're going to be talking about the very infamous and very famous and some people very funny movie called Zombieland. And I have two special guests that I want to introduce for this episode, strictly because we're going to take a little bit of different detour with how we're going to present this episode. So with this episode, we have Philip Ray, who's one of our regular guests, and we also have Sonia Thompson, who's also one of our regular guests, but Thompson actually was in the movie Zombieland. So we get to ask her a couple of special questions about her experience on this movie. So with that, I want to thank you both for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, I love to do this. I always ask everyone, what was your first experience with the film? I already know, son, yours is going to be a little bit different because you're in the film. So we're going to start off with Philip about your experience watching this film for the first time.
For me, it was so I saw this in the theater with a couple friends. So yeah, and I've seen it a couple times since then on TV, but I saw it when it came out in theaters.
Okay, and from my perspective, before we get to you, Sonia, I saw this movie in the theater too because I'm a huge zombie fan, as everyone with the show should already know. I love my zombie films, and it doesn't matter if it's a funny, a dramatic, horror, gore. I will watch any type of zombie film. And so I was, really, really excited to see this movie because one, I love Woody Harrelson, and I don't think Woody Harrelson could do wrong in anything, and he does not do wrong in this film either. My problem is with the film itself, which most people who know me and have over the years have talked to me about this film know how much I despise this movie. But I'm not going to get into that yet. What I really want to get into is the fact that Sonia, who was in the movie, it's got to be a different experience when you watch the movie because you're watching the film itself and then you're probably waiting for the scene or scenes where you're in it. So it's got to be a different experience for you having watched the movie. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, I will start off with and tell you that my scene was deleted from the theatrical release, but it made it on the DVD, and I was also part of the Zombieland training video, and that made it to the DVD too in the behind the scenes stuff. So when you go to In Search of Zombieland, fast forward to rule number 3, and you'll see me making faces and hanging. There's like 4 of us plus Ben Armstrong from Netherworld. He was our instructor. And then Ruben Fisher, the director, was there, who I completely loved working with. So everybody that had a zombie role in the film had to watch the zombie training video in order to become a zombie, actor in it. So that was kind of a cool thing. That was a lot of fun. I even tried to get Sony Pictures to release just that, or at least release Zombieland and the training video. I just thought it was really neat. It was a really cool thing. But yeah, it was very neat working on it. Ruben Fisher was phenomenal to work with. This was his first feature release, debut, because Ruben had been doing music videos and had gotten a lot of great attention on his music videos. So this was his very first feature that he was directing. So that was pretty cool. But he was a really cool, down-to-earth guy, and I loved talking to him. That was really neat. But the first time they called me down to Valdosta, and I drove all the way down there. They put me up in a hotel. I was sitting in the hotel waiting for my scene to be ready, the location to be locked down. Well, location never got locked down. So I got to spend the night in Valdosta, get paid, come back home. And then they called me again. I ended up being called about, I think, 3 or 4 more times before we actually filmed my scene. And then it ended up being way too dark. I was told by some people on set that it was supposed to be the opening scene for the movie, but it ended up getting on the cutting room floor because it was just way too dark. And when I say dark, I mean it was the lighting, and it was in a warehouse where we filmed it. And so it did make it to the DVD. It's called Ziploc Bags. So it's in there. But it was pretty cool. I mean, and there's some cool things that happened in that scene as well that were really neat and stuff. But my experience going to the movie theater, I did not know that my scene had been cut. So I was quite disappointed when I watched the whole entire movie and my scene was cut because it was a reoccurring role and all this. So with it being cut, they didn't have to use me in the second movie, which was very unfortunate.
Hmm.
But I thought it was a neat movie. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was funny. Uh, I think when Banjo Boy took out, well, not Banjo Boy, but I know Banjo Boy. But anyway, but when he took out the zombie with the banjo, Joe, I believe there was somebody that posted a picture at some point and it had Twinkies actually on the shelf. And I was like, seriously? There was Twinkies there, but yet they didn't find Twinkies, so there's a few little things like that was done. But I always thought it was I will say that I thought the movie was kind of odd because there was all this electricity. There was, these very, very fast moving zombies, and I mean, I like the movie personally, but it's not on a list that I would go and watch over and over and over again, like Lost Boys or, some of the other favorites that we've actually reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
But that was being at the theater and watching it, I was quite in a disappointed mode because I was so excited because I had this really cool, scene in the movie that was supposed to open it up, or at least that's what I was told. And, and then that didn't happen. So, but it was still cool though, because I had a trailer with a star on it and everything. So that was kind of neat,
Well, I will
but
say, the opening sequence is by far the most creative and best segment of the entire film, in my opinion. I think this is one of the quintessential greatest openings in the horror film in the past few decades. I think it was absolutely brilliant what they did with it, especially explaining the rules and everything like that. It's gory, it's funny, it's actually action packed, and the cinematography is great, and the music's great, and the actors do a great job with it. That's yeah. After the first 30 minutes or so, it falls apart for me. The entire movie falls apart. But I have to. I mean, that's a flawless opening. There are a few horror films, that have a flawless opening, or an end opening that people remember despite everything else in the movie. If you,
And that makes sense because yeah, I think everyone who's seen the movie remembers the kill of the week and the rules and stuff. And originally, so Zombieland was supposed to be a TV show. So the script started out as a pilot, which then evolved into a movie in the end, which is funny because then they eventually did do a TV show later. But the whole kill of the week, that was left over from it being a TV pilot. Originally, each episode was going to revolve around the zombie kill of the week and stuff. And so when they made it a movie, they kept that part, which is why probably the beginning is so strong, because that was the pilot basically.
that makes sense. I mean, it really does. Because and then when the TV series came out, oh my God, it was awful. It was teetotally awful. The actors they brought in were good, of course, but I mean, it was over the top comedy type stuff, but it was so cheesy, I couldn't watch it. I could not watch it at all. But the opening scene, like with the FBI guy, that was Brian Stretch. I don't know if you know Brian, but he was also on The Walking Dead too. He was on the tank with me in the pilot. And so I took some cool pictures of him on set that day and sent to him. But anyway, Brian was pretty cool. And Nathan, the guy that was being ran, that was being chased by the zombie in the football field, he's actually with Extras Casting Atlanta. He's one of the guys with them. And so so that was really cool. It was really cool for me to see a lot of my friends. It's always cool seeing any of you guys, like when y'all are in the movies. I think that kind of makes some movies better than maybe what they are sometimes, because it's like, oh, well, there's Scott. Oh, there's Nate. There's, Brian. There's Kevin. Look, so, sometimes that
Yeah,
makes things better, you know?
I will agree with you. There are a lot of movies that I think are bad that I've watched that were made by Georgia filmmakers or major filmmakers that have friends of mine in them, and I just, oh my god, I can see that movie. Oh my god. Okay, the movie's better than I thought it was gonna be because he's in it and he has more than just a single line in the movie. Uh,
Yeah.
uh Go ahead, Philip.
Uh, we'll go into it, but I think one of the reasons why he did not. I think one of the reasons why the movie does suffer a little, some of the moments suffer a little bit, is because there was a lot of improv on in the movie. Everything revolving around the special cameos, with Bill Murray. Like most of his scenes were improv. There was a lot of scenes that were improv because the script was, again, it was more meant for a TV pilot than it was a movie, so they had to pad it out with a lot of improv and stuff, which sometimes it works, and then sometimes it did not work.
So you brought it up, and I wasn't gonna bring it up unless someone else brought it up. But the whole reason why I hate this movie is the Bill Murray sequence. Like, okay, so and you brought it up, so I have to talk about it. So the thing is, I thought this movie had a great opening. The first 30 minutes are absolutely brilliant. Does a great job of setting up who Woody Harrelson's character is and Jesse Eisenberg character. And then when it introduces the two female characters, they're very interesting. But they're also the only people who get who don't get a zombie intro. They're just a con artist intro, which is different than everyone else's, which I thought was odd. And then, I like the fact that they are the smartest ones in the whole movie. So I'm like, oh shit, they keep one upping Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg because they're stupid men and the women characters so just think over their heads all the time. But then they get to the Bill Murray's house. So, normally if you get to your location halfway through the movie should be over. But then we have another 30 minutes of them chilling at Bill Murray's house. And I was like, huh. So they get their goal, which is getting to where the theme park is, because that's the theme of the whole thing. They're trying to get to this theme park for the two girls' character, and they chill at Bill Murray's house for an entire day, just chilling. And then the next night, they decide to go. The two ladies, who are the smartest characters in the whole movie, decide to go to the theme park at night without their friends, knowing that there's zombies everywhere, and then try to do the rides with no one on the ground. No, they turn on all the lights, and they just think it's going to be safe. And I'm like, how did the smartest characters in the movie become the dumbest characters in the movie? Like, literally, they become the dumbest characters.
I actually thought that too because I was like, okay, why are they doing this? I mean, and I'm thinking, who's running the ride to make sure they come down off this thing? That was my thing. Is how is this? Is it set on automatic? Is it how are they doing this? Because I mean, it's like, okay, who's controlling the rides? I mean that there's a lot of things. But what got me too about Zombieland was, where were the other survivors?
Oh, there was nobody else around. They were all dead.
I mean, it's like. I would think there would have to be some other survivors, I mean, it can't just be the four of them, but I guess it could. I mean, but.
And Bill Murray.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bill Murray. That was the only other survivor that, was there until he got, but anyway, that was just, that was crazy. Did you know that Chandler Riggs's dad, William, was the double for Bill Murray?
I did not.
Yeah. Yeah. He was telling me that one day.
Oh,
and
man.
that was pretty cool.
That's funny. I only got to meet him once. He seemed like a cool kid when I met him years ago now. Jeez, if Days of the Dead came Days of the Dead, that was the only time I ever met him. So
yeah. Well, his dad, William, was the perfect Bill Murray double. He really was. It was awesome. But I think that's really neat that he got to do that. But Bill Murray was in town for Zombieland, or maybe he was in town for something else, and that's what it was. He was already in town filming on something else, and then they asked him to be in Zombieland.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how that all came about. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Well, I love Bill
And
Murray.
he was game to be on. I mean, he was just like, yeah, yeah, let's do it,
I love Bill Murray, but I thought that that's where the movie stopped, is when they got to Bill
Yeah.
Murray's house. The whole movie, everything just stops. So these characters can just chill in the rich guy's house. And it makes no sense to me. I was like, because
It
the
does. It kind of just speaks of padding, like again, kind of
yeah,
like again, they needed to pad the movie out before so they can hit the movie runtime, and so they stayed there because there always was a plan to have a cameo, like they always was planned to have a cameo. Originally, it was going to be Patrick Swayze, but he had to back out because of his pancreatic cancer, and then they had Sylvester Stallone, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Matthew McConaughey, John Claude Van Damme, Mark Hamill, Kevin Bacon, Dustin Hoffman. Those were all different like they were originally going they were going to be the original people they used. With Swayze, when they had the script written for him, he was going to be a zombified dancing Patrick Swayze was their original plan, and they were going to recreate the pottery scene from Ghost, but with the zombified Patrick Swayze.
my
But
God.
when they went over to Bill Murray, they since again Bill Murray's known for his comedy and stuff, they just kind of relied more on Bill Murray's comedy to fill and pad up his section of the movie.
Jesus. Oh God. Yeah, yeah, he pads the movie all right. You know what? Like I said, the first 30 minutes or so I think are absolutely really strong for a movie, and it just didn't have any follow through. And this is when I watched it at the theater. I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? What the heck just happened? How did the movie fall off the rails so fast? But the thing is, it's one of those, in my opinion. It's a movie that's trying to be a horror comedy, but it's playing more towards the comedy than anything else. Especially towards the second half. I think the first half, like I said, the opening, it was gory, it was funny, it was action packed, and then at some point, after the scene, I think when they're in the store where they're breaking everything up, which is always an homage to Dawn of the Dead when they're all shopping. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a homage to Dawn of the Dead. I can get with that. After that, I think the film kind of falls apart. So I think that's probably 40 minutes into the movie or so. I think is when it falls apart for me. I don't know what you two think. I think Philip liked the movie a heck of a lot more than I did. But I will say that my favorite thing is about Woody Harrelson's and his search for the Twinkies. I thought that was a great character theme and arc throughout the whole movie. So I really commend the writers for doing that because it's different. It's really different. It's
Yeah.
It's funny. Woody Harrelson is a vegan, so he actually hated having to do the Twinkie scenes.
I did
can
not know
understand
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really I thought that was a very clever thing to
Uh,
do the Twinkies, and when he found all those snowballs and there was, it was like in that truck, in that hostess truck,
uh,
that was kind of funny. But
that was
I mean, I like the movie. I like the humor and stuff, a good bit of it. The whole clown thing of him being scared of clowns and stuff, and then all of a sudden there was a clown zombie. Um, I thought it was kind of neat. I thought it was a neat movie. I enjoyed it, but yeah, there were certain things in it that I was like, why is this happening? Um, so
I
Yeah.
think that if I was drunk, I probably would enjoy the movie more because I'd be laughing at all this shit that I probably wouldn't be laughing at when I'm sober.
well, there you go. There you go.
There
But
you go.
working on it, I mean, I came off set and I was so bloody. I wished I had one of the pictures over here, but it must be I should have just brought me a picture just so Philip could see it. But I was so bloody all over and stuff. And I came off set and Abigail had just gotten a little puppy. And I remember bending down and saying, "Your puppy's so cute. Hi, little puppy. You're just the cutest puppy." And I had all this blood on me and all this kind of stuff. And when I got through petting the puppy, I said, Abigail, it was nice meeting you. And then I walk off. I'm like, number one, she's never going to remember me. Number two, that dog could have bit me looking like that. But that just proves that animals see within. They look inside the person. They don't look at the outside, because I was horrid looking. I mean, I was totally scary looking.
Oh.
The zombies were pretty rad, man. I have to give them kudos for all the zombies.
Yeah.
I mean, it was some darn good makeup. Emmy Award winning makeup. Stephen Prouty and Andre Freitas, they did my makeup, and all the zombies looked pretty radical, man. I mean, they were. I have to give some strong kudos to the special effects team for making these zombies look so amazing. It was really good.
There is not a weak zombie in the whole bunch. I will agree with you on that too. The special effects on this movie are top notch and amazing. Hence, like I said, the cinematography is great. The music's great. The score is great. The story falls apart halfway through for me. So
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
think, Philip?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm on the same camp of I enjoyed it. It's one of those things of as the series have gone on and so, or like as the movie has gone older, it's not as good as it was the first time I watched it, because I enjoyed it very much the first time I watched it, but that's just because really Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, and Emma Stone really carry the movie with their chemistry and stuff, because they have great chemistry the entire time. But like as we've seen with like the second movie, Double Tap, like really kind of shows how in the end the script really is not that strong for a theatrical versus a TV show. And even the TV show was universally panned of being bad and stuff, because I think if they kept to that original concept of the kill of the week, I think that could have been a fun TV show and stuff. But again, it's just the script overall is just not strong, and especially when you get to the second one, it really shows that it's not that strong of a story.
Yeah. And in the kill of the week that they had with the piano drop, and I mean that was pretty classic. And the actress Joan that played the sister in that, I've worked with her on Halloween 2 and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and she's actually done some pretty cool little roles and things. So that was cool seeing her in that. I was like, man, that's awesome. She was part of the kill of the week, but that was pretty cool with the piano. Yeah. And I kind of wish they had done it a little bit more, maybe a couple more times, but yeah, for the TV show, that would have worked great. That would have been really good.
So you'll both probably hate this from me, because I knew how stupid the first movie was. When I saw the second movie, I was already ingrained in the stupidity, and I was perfectly fine with the second movie.
Okay. Perfectly fine with it. There you go.
So do you like the second one more than the first one?
I do, because I didn't hate the fact that they made the female character stupid. So anyone who's listened to me over the years knows I cannot stand movies when they make the female characters stupid. Like, I don't mind all the characters being naive or having male characters who seem to be, a little bit on the dumb side. But when they make the female characters who are established as being smart, intelligent, and con artists, and then they make them dumb as nails, that gets to me. And the second movie, they don't really do that because the younger one, I can't remember her name. Was it
Abigail?
Abigail Abigail Breslin. Her character is more like, huh?
Little Rock.
Yeah, Little Rock. She's more naive, and that plays into her being taken, going to the other, I don't know what you want to call it, the commune or whatever the hell they called it. That being said, I've only ever seen Double Tap once, and I already knew what I was getting into, because I was like, directed by the same person, same cast, Ah, fuck. It's gonna be fucking stupid. I already know it's gonna be dumb, but I like zombie movies anyway. So I walked in knowing it was going to be dumb. So my bar was really low already. When I saw the original Zombieland, my bar was high because I expected it to be a really funny, gory zombie film, and it fell really short. Um, and the thing is, I love the like you've already mentioned the chemistry between these four actors is amazing in both films. Their chemistry is really good, and that's what really drives the movies, in my opinion. I think the chemistry between the actors is so good, despite the fact that we probably will never see, what's her name? It's not Stone, is it? Emma Stone?
Emma
Emma, yeah.
Stone.
Yeah, Emma
Uh-huh.
Stone in another zombie film, or we won't see Woody Harrelson delve into a zombie film again. I can see Jesse Eisenberg doing anything. That guy just decides to do anything he wants to whenever he wants to do it. Uh, I don't see
Yeah, but
those.
didn't they have a hard time getting him to sign on for the second one?
I bet you they did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg was in the middle of. I'm going to do serious movies. I'm going to do like these specific little quirky characters. But then he starts doing everything but Vivarium and a bunch of other smaller films, and so he starts going all over the place now. He like fuck it. If the script's good, let me do it. And that's how I see him now. I mean, he was
Yeah.
Lex Luthor for 2 or 3 DC movies. By the way, I liked him as Lex Luthor. I thought he was completely different than everyone else. So I thought I actually enjoyed him as that role. So
Okay.
but the thing is, I think Zombieland, because it's one of those films that kind of has the Bill Murray cameo. I think if it was anyone else, I don't think people would have liked it nearly as much. I think it being Bill Murray, it doesn't matter what it was. Bill Murray drove a lot of people to really enjoy the film, and the fact that it's a comedy horror, which many people weren't doing then, and they weren't doing it successfully. When you think of that whole time period, and you're thinking of Shaun of the Dead, you're thinking of Zombieland. What else are you thinking of?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Hmm. Yeah.
It did come out of nowhere. Zombieland came out of nowhere and did this comedy zombie film.
Yeah. Well, during the Bill Murray stench, we'll call it a stench scene, I was a little disappointed that, Tallahassee was not more broken up or holding some sort of grudge against him for killing his his movie star favorite, I mean, it was like, okay, so there's not any, you're not gonna hold a grudge against him, you're not gonna, I mean, it's like, he just killed your hero. And, and then they just took his body and just kind of like threw him over the edge, It's like, okay. And then they just went on about everything. And it's like, okay, so there's no grudge here. There's no nothing, you know. I mean, I would have thought there would have been a little something there on that, but there wasn't.
It's the zombie apocalypse. That's all we could chalk that one up to. Uh, so I also wanted to ask you a little bit about your whole zombie training video thing. Is that something that you helped create, or is it something that you got brought into to help facilitate for the movie?
It was something I got brought into. It was kind of crazy because the casting director called me and says, "Hey, we need you to come down, to the studio and um do get some training." Okay. I get there, it's like nobody there. I'm like, okay, what the heck's going on? And then all of a sudden I see like a couple other people come in. My friend Steve Warren. I don't know if you know Steve. And he was on The Walking Dead with me as well. Um, and well, and then these other two people from Netherworld came in, and I asked the casting director, I'm like, hey, where's everybody at? He's like, oh, it's just gonna be, a few of you guys. They wanted to bring some of you guys in to develop a training video. And so Ben Armstrong from Netherworld, he was our instructor. So there was four of us, the instructor, and then Ruben Fisher, the director, and we were, and the videographer, and that was it.
Hmm.
That's all that was there. And we were going over certain things and reviewing different things that Ruben was wanting from the zombies. And so we would practice these things show people how to do these things and stuff. And um, it was a lot of fun to do. It really was. I really enjoyed doing it, and I felt honored that I got asked to do it. And I would love for them to release it. I think it'd be great. Great. I was hoping when they released the second movie that maybe they would do like a 2-pack type thing
Mhm.
and include the training video. I think that would be phenomenal to do.
Hmm.
So I think it would really add to the movie if people could see what went into um, making it. I mean, I know they did a little bit of the Zombieland training video in the behind the scenes, and they also showed like a photo of me and some other, which I thought was crazy. And I always joke about this, that when they show my picture, they mention mad cow disease and syphilis at the same time. And I don't know anybody else that has been compared to those two things in one sentence, and I'm like, but me. So that's kind of my humor with that. Um, but I thought it was really a neat movie to be a part of. And I kind of was hoping it was going to, turn out to be a lot bigger than it was. But, hey, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's still a pretty good, I mean, it's pretty big, but I was just hoping that it was going to, like become a cult following type thing, like Dawn of the Dead or something, but with it being such a humorous one, I just don't see that. I don't
Well,
know. It
it
might be one day.
well, it has its own cult following. Don't give the movies. I may dislike the movie, but there's a lot of movies that have cult followings that I dislike. That mean, I don't understand the cult following to some movies. This one is one of them. This one has a pretty big cult following. Hence why I keep trying to get it right on television and everything else. I will not be surprised if someone tries again. Even though the second movie wasn't nearly as successful as the first one, I'm sure they will try again. Or it'd be good to see on like Netflix or whoever owns. I don't even know who owns Zombieland.
It was
Um,
Sony Pictures. That's who
yeah.
contacted me to get
Sony.
permission to use, the photos and all this kind of stuff. So, Sony Pictures was over it. I don't know that they are. I didn't notice if they were for the second film or not.
They
But
are.
overall, it was a good experience, working with Ruben Fisher, and he was a great director, and it was just a good experience for me. I
Nice,
enjoyed every moment of it.
nice. And you know me, I love working on. As many zombie films as I've worked on and been in makeup. I love that shit. You know me. We're independent filmmakers. Me and you, Sonia. We go back on sets for I don't know how long.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm telling you, a long time.
so yeah. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten filled up on any sets yet. One day we will. I keep
Oh,
One
telling you.
day.
yes.
I'm good with doing it.
All right. So, that being said, what else would you like to say about the film, Philip?
Um, Pretty much it's a little bit of a lightning in a bottle.
Yes.
Uh, is what Zombieland is, and it kind of shows with how it hasn't really again the TV show didn't blow up. It did the opposite. It blew up in the wrong sense. And so like I think they were really hoping that Zombieland would be like some of the other popular medias where it's like, oh, it has its TV shows and it has its movies, and clearly that was just not the case. It was kind of lightning in the bottle, and because the second movie didn't even make that much more than the first.
Did it
It
actually
made,
make more than the first? I kept thinking that it made less.
and it made so the first movie made 102
Yeah.
million,
Yeah.
and the second movie made 125 million. So,
Oh,
and that's with a budget, and the budget also was as
double.
twice as much. So the
Yeah.
second movie was twice as much as the first one. So not that much of a great return like in the end. So it's one of those things of like, again, it was the first one, the lightning bottle, and I think I don't know if we'll even have a third one. I don't think they will. I mean, who knows, maybe they'll bring it back, whatever, but I think I think the series is pretty much dead at this point,
Nah,
which is fine.
nothing's dead. Nothing's dead anymore, dude. They bring it. Everything gets rebooted as a fucking television show now.
I mean, that's true. Well, they tried that with the television show, and that
It
failed.
sucked.
So I I think
Yeah.
that I think the for now, I think that's a series that will probably stay dead, and
Yeah,
stuff, and that's perfectly fine. I
yeah.
think I don't think we need a trilogy with this.
Yeah, I don't think there needs to be a trilogy with it either, but I do think there needs to be a re-release of it, and I think they need to do it as a little box series, and then they need to include the training video and any behind the scenes stuff, maybe some other behind the scenes stuff that maybe they didn't include in the first two. I think that that'd be cool. Yeah, I have to agree about the TV show. Zombieland was a total fail. I was completely disappointed in it. I thought it was very cheesy. It just wasn't good. The actors were good, but the the lines, the script, I had a very hard time with that. So, it'd be cool if they could bring it back, but I do think that it's I don't know. I mean, they may be able to do a third one and really surprise me, but I just think that it'll probably just stay right where it's at, but I would like to see them release both of them at the same time and add some other stuff to it. I think that'd be a cool 2-disc series. I mean, um,
So
I don't
just
know. Anyway,
so just so you know, because I had to look it up too. There is a 2-disc Blu-ray. It's kind of a cheap one, with both films on it. I wanted to see if they had done a 4K release of Zombieland, which they have. But it won't tell me what's on the special features, which sucks. So I would suggest if you could find a physical copy, Sonia, you should buy it because it's a 2-disc 4K. It might be
yeah,
bad.
it could be.
It'd be really cool to see that if it was.
Well, I mean, like I say, part of the Zombieland training video is already on the first DVD. So, they may be fine with that. They might not want anybody knowing their secrets. I mean, there's a lot of movies like that. I mean, even like the zombie training school for the Walking Dead, that's not something that's released out there either.
I mean,
So, a lot of films, as you and I both know, there's certain things that we don't want people knowing how we did certain things, I mean, some things that we did, were just like on the fly, and we won't ever remember or recreate them anyway, but but I do get that. But I do think it'd be kind of cool if they did something.
yeah, yeah. All right, so my final thoughts are for the film is the fact that it is you guys you both have hit on it. It is a time capsule. The movie came out at a time where people really wanted to see a horror comedy, and it was it was kismet to have Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin with Bill Murray in a zombie horror film. I do, if I'm not mistaken, around this time zombies were having a small little resurgence. They hadn't hit the apex that Walking Dead made it to be. Like over the years, that's still the highest bar you can attribute to zombie films or television because we don't do many zombie films right now, but zombies on television keep popping up. And everyone's still watching what was it, Walking Dead, despite the fact it should be over by now. That being said, there are some great moments in Zombieland. Don't get me wrong. The opening sequence is amazing. And I suggest anyone who wants to see a great opening for a film as a filmmaker or a storyteller should definitely watch that. I say the same thing about the movie Ghost Ship, which is a god awful movie. But if the 15 freaking opening minutes of that movie is simply amazing. Everyone who's seen that movie will tell you that opening 15 minutes of Ghost Ship is amazing for what they do. Zombieland's the same thing. It's one of those amazing things that will stick with you long after the rest of the movie you've forgotten. The time capsule aspect is Bill Murray did jump in and probably save the sinking ship, and the film probably is more successful because he's in it, and people really, really when I talk to friends of mine, always they come back to Bill Murray's great in this movie. They all say that. They don't say, "Oh my God, the whole movie fucking stops when Bill Murray shows up and it sucks after that." No one I've talked to has my opinion of the movie. Nobody. Uh, and my opinion has not changed after having watched it another time for this show. Because I'm a storyteller at heart, and that's what I look at first. But that does not displace the fact that this movie looks amazing. The cinematography is kick ass. The special effects for the zombies is far and above most of the other movies out there, and this was the director's first major feature film. So that is a great testament to his talents. As you heard from Sonia, who loved working with him on the set, he must be a great director to work with because he has some great talent behind the in front of the screen as well, and they gave great chemistry. So that being said, the director did a phenomenal job with all that, despite what I think about the movie. And hopefully, unlike all you out there, I actually do hope that they do make a trilogy. I like trilogies. I like to see trilogies. I just don't want them to do a trilogy in the third movie and everyone fucking dies and shows up as zombies and you're just seeing them all as zombies and sitting on the couch with Bill Murray zombie. I don't want to see that. But with that, those are my final thoughts of Zombieland. I want to thank everybody for coming out to this podcast. I want to especially thank Philip for his amazing insight, and I want to thank Sonia for giving us some of her insight on the behind the scenes shenanigans of shooting this film and what ended up on the screen. And what didn't end up on the screen. I'm Kevin Powers. I hope you've enjoyed listening to us on Conversations in Horror, the podcast. Make sure to check out some of our previous episodes. Make sure to be like and subscribe and do all those great things that you do with podcasts, because we will be around for the foreseeable future and not return as a zombie podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, produced by Kevin L. Powers, executive produced by Kelly A. Inoka, and originally filmed via Zoom technology. Conversations in Horror is hosted by Kevin L. Powers and co-hosted by various horror film lovers and filmmakers. To learn more about Mr. Powers, please make sure to check out his Patreon page and other social media platforms. Conversations in Horror is copyright 2024 Broken Lighthouse Pictures production.